All right, looking at Anthony here, right? From evoshield. Okay, when I look at a swing, we're looking at three areas: the back leg, the front side, which is the wall we hit against, and then the back arm or the throwing arm, and how that arm moves through to carry the barrel to the back. Okay, so let's take a look at his back leg first. Okay, the back leg has to do two things. Okay, two absolute things. It's got to load, and it's got to load before release, and then it's got to laterally or sideways unload. Okay, so that leg's got to do two really simple things, Anthony. It's got to get ready, and it's got to go every time. Okay, so when you look at your footwork, and again, you got to ask yourself, well, why am I striding? The reason you pick your foot up is to load the back leg. Okay, and that loads it, and it puts it in a position to unload. So loading and unloading the back leg is why you're taking a stride. Okay, so when we look at Anthony's stride, we notice that, you know, to load the back leg, he takes an extremely high leg kick. Okay, Adrian takes a higher leg kick in terms of how high the knee gets and how bent the knee gets than I would recommend. I definitely think that you should trim that back. Okay, it's not necessary to get the knee that high in order to load the back leg. Okay, so what Anthony has got to do is he's got to put his back leg in control of his feet and really get the understanding that when his back leg loads, the front foot is pulled up, and when the back leg unloads, it puts the front foot down. So the back leg should really be in control of these feet, and it's not necessary for that front foot to come up that high in order for him to load and unload the back leg. The concept of letting the back leg control the feet is really huge in you understanding what's important and what's not important about the lower half of the body. Really, all you're trying to do with the lower half is load that back leg and unload it into this wall on the front side. You're trying to basically, you know, again, drive your energy against and hit behind this wall on the front side. So set the wall up, load the back leg, and drive into it and hit against and behind that wall. Okay. Okay, now moving on to the front side again, which is, you know, we're trying to drive energy into that wall on the front side. Okay, and like we talked about, we think his left leg is way too active, and it even kind of reaches out a little too far here, right there at the end, especially off the tee. I thought it was interesting how the stride off the tee kept reaching and reaching and reaching. So we want to kind of calm that left leg down and realize, hey, we want our left leg to land in basically the same position it was when it started, in terms of the foot is square, the knee is bent, the knee is behind the foot, and we set our wall up. Yes, the back leg kind of pushes that foot forward a little bit, but it really is just a wall we're trying to hit against and hit behind. Okay, so if we, you know, take away the, you know, the overactivity that we have out of the leg, it lands in a pretty good spot. You know, I think better even here live than off the tee. Knee is set up bent and behind the foot, and he has a pretty stable, you know, front leg there to hit against and hit behind, you know. So again, we have the high leg kick, and we're looking at head movement here, and we're going to have some forward and down head movement. Some, you know, anytime we're driving with that back leg, we want to minimize it. Okay, so we get, I would say, more than we want here. But let's see, once the heel drops, the head really stabilizes well, and that's what we want. So he's got a good, strong front leg position. The knee stabilizes pretty well. I'd like it even better if that knee didn't wobble to where the kneecap is opening to the pitcher. You look at Adrian's, that knee stays really square and sideways, whereas, you know, his knee flares open a little bit, and I think that's somewhat related to the upper body is probably starting a little too much and too soon. But overall, that's a pretty good front leg. Knee stabilizes behind the foot, and we don't get any forward head movement once the heel drops. And so he hits pretty well behind that front side. And then at contact, he's established, you know, a pretty good tilted spine. Meaning, you know, if we trace the spine here, we've got a good negative angle there. Now, you do see, especially on the swing in the upper left, a little bit more turning than we like to see. I don't think that, and really this is part of the front side, is our ability to kind of brace up and hit against and behind that front side. But the shoulders, I feel like he doesn't really decelerate the shoulders. You know, his hands turn over really good. You know, and you kind of see it on the follow through how the bracing could be improved a little bit. I'd like to see him I'd like to see the shoulders kind of stop here, kind of like you're throwing water out of a bucket, and then we release the hands a little deeper. Okay, see how Adrian's chest really stays on the ball here, and he pulls off just a little bit there. Okay, I wouldn't mind also seeing him, you can see Adrian release the top hand there. I'd like to see Anthony go to a top hand release, but only after we get to this position here with Adrian, where the top hand is past the bottom and we get to extension. And Anthony gets there. Look at the upper right is better than the others, but it's later. See, Adrian's hands are already over, and it's later, but he does turn them over pretty well, but it could be improved upon. And off the tee, I feel like he has, you know, really, the shoulders really, like right here, the shoulders just seem like they're just jerking him around. I like to see the hands finish, right hand get over the top, and him release the top hand. All right, so what we're going to try to get Anthony to do with this front side is set it up how he wants it to land, okay? And again, this is too wide off the tee. I think this is, you know, okay, maybe a shade too wide. But he's going to set that left leg up how he wants it to land, meaning knee is behind foot and knee is bent, like we talked about landing from a jump, and the front foot is square. And so all you have to do is you're going to load that back leg and then drive into that front side and hit behind that front side, okay? That's all your left side is there for. Your left leg is there for is to set a wall for you to hit against.
Right.
Right. And so you can eliminate all the extracurriculars that foot's doing. And the movement of that wall, that foot, is controlled by the back leg. It's already set. Set your wall. And then the back leg, when the back leg loads, it pulls it up. When the back leg unloads, it puts it down. Okay? I mean, that's gold. It really is. To have the knowledge, hey, all I got to do, come to the plate, set my wall up. My back leg's going to load before release, and it's going to go every time. It's going to load and go every time. That's all right. And just one more point on the footwork is, like I told Anthony, you know, I would much rather have a kid that is being, you know, what I would call overly athletic with his front leg and really, you know, creating a productive stride, a productive load and unload than these coaches that are trying to, you know, get rid of the stride and turn kids into unathletic, you know, arm swingers. So I can see the benefits of someone using that, especially in a drill setting, to get someone started. But in the end, it does create unnecessary timing, or it can create unnecessary timing issues. Go to school in the morning. And so ultimately what we're after is to try to combine, if you look at Adrian down there, we want to combine a very active shoulder joint, okay, for the power, and keep the hands down and close to the ball for the quickness, okay? So if we can keep that elbow bent, we can be big at the shoulder for power, we keep the hands down, and we don't reach back too far with the hands, we keep the elbow bent, and we get our perfect combination of power with quickness, and that's what we're after, okay? So big at the shoulder joint, short with the hands. Big at the shoulder joint, short with the hands, combination of power and quickness. All right, last thing, again, it's only 3 areas. It's back leg, front side, back arm. You're trying to be perfect at all 3. That's simple. Not easy, but simple. Okay, let's take a look at the back arm. When I'm looking at the back arm, I want to see a lot of activity at the rotator cuff and not a whole lot of activity at the elbow joint. And you can see here, Anthony has a real good loading phase there. He does it a little later than some guys, but I'm perfectly fine with it. I like it a lot. There's good rotator cuff activity. He works the hands, the barrel works in front, and it's very good. Now, right here, I feel like the hands try to kind of get high and get back a little too far, and the elbow widens a little bit as it slots in. So we see a sharper elbow angle here with Adrian. I think he really needs to kind of keep that elbow bent, and really the cue that works best is keep the hands down. Don't let the hands travel. Be big at the shoulder joint, but be short with the hands. Big at the shoulder joint, short with the hands in terms of where they're traveling, okay? But what causes it is the elbow. If you keep the elbow bent, generally speaking, the hands are not going to travel too much. So keep them down and keep the elbow bent, okay? Now, he's in a great position here. The barrel is tall. This is phenomenal, outstanding. People with tall barrels generally hit, okay? Off the tee, I don't like it as much. The tee, the barrel gets flat behind his head. I do not like this path here. I absolutely love this path, okay? We've got the barrel stacked here. This is gorgeous. Okay, absolutely beautiful. Very much like Adrian there. Very good. So that's good. So I really think, try to keep the same move you got. Just right after this sucker tips, keep the hands down. Don't try to you don't need to load them that much. You don't need to go back anymore. Keep them short to the ball. Okay, that's a great position there. The lead arm, like we talked about, which I really generally put as a front side thing, but we need to keep a little bit of bend in the lead elbow. Okay, so I think, chicken and the egg, but I think they're both kind of working against you and making the swing a little bit longer than it needs to be. Keep a little bit of bend and relaxation in the lead arm. That arm should stretch. Okay, it should stretch out. We don't want to force it to lock out though. Okay, we want it to be long throughout the whole swing, but don't lock it out. Lastly, the finish. We want to see that arm close to extension at contact, close to finishing, and then immediately after contact, okay, we get extension and pronation. Top hand gets over, and like we said, because the front side, the shoulders kind of keep rotating. Kind of let the bat and the shoulders kind of pull us off the ball a little bit. So we'd like to see the shoulders brace up, and that's going to let those hands turn over the way and we want them, and allow that back arm to finish that throw the way we want it to, a little bit sooner after contact. So if you look at Adrian, you get contact and then you get this nice finish. So, but overall, I think it's a great move. We've got great leg drive. He's not forcing that back foot to turn. He drives with it. It turns over on its own. Okay, and overall, I think it's really good. Just got to trim some fat and kind of get a better understanding of what we're trying to do. So a lot of potential there.